it's like teaching. You have a huge range of strategies and you choose the right one for your children.
Yeah.
It's like that for my staff. I know what's out there. What's the right one for my staff, for me to get them where they are. I am not against sending on training courses. In fact, I've got one was on one yesterday, and I think another one's on Thursday, and I indeed went on one myself last week for 2 days. But I think there are other ways, and it's about the most effective way for that staff member and therefore for that child. So the first Monday next half term, we have a whole school inset day on autism, and I have invited one colleague from each of my cluster schools to share in that expertise. Now, because it's an inset day, it's low cost, it's going to hit everybody at once. For me, that's a much better way of doing about it, because then in the afternoon, everybody's going to sit around and go, oh, are you going to do this, are you going to do that, are you going to do the whatever, and because we'll be talking about our own children, that's the impact. So yeah, I'm not against the course.
Yeah.
I just think it's one of a number of options.
What's your opinion on online training?
Again, it depends what it is. If it's just to give you basic information and awareness, then great. So prevent training, I don't need somebody to tell me that. Online safer recruitment. If it wants to give you some basics and some generalities, that's still the wrong word, or some knowledge, it's great.
Yeah.
But it is not bespoke. So it doesn't tell me about Jimmy in my class. And if Jimmy doesn't hit the typical model, then the online training may not tell me about Jimmy. So I think, again, you have to look at, is it right or not? I think for information raising, for basic information, there's nothing to beat them.
Yeah.
But if you're talking about a personalised approach to a particular problem in your classroom, at that point, I think you need a conversation.
Yeah.
I've done online training. What have I done online? Can't remember. There's a knock at the door. I'm just going to see who it is. Hello. There you go. That's a good example. There's a slightly autistic child who doesn't want to do PE, so we will go and deal with that after this.
Okay, so this might not apply right now, but before, like, how often did you deploy your TAs to have one-to-one time with your pupils that had ASD?
The last time we had one with major needs, we gave him a one-to-one because we looked at what his needs were, and his needs would not have allowed the TA or the teacher to work with other children. There's a phrase when I'm sometimes asked to consider SEN, it's awful, it's a business phrase, about the efficient use of resource in the school. So if you think about a teacher, let's say £30,000, and a TA, let's say £7,000 or £8,000, that's £38,000 for 30 children. If it's £38,000 for one child, no, that doesn't work. So if I think, you know what, 38,000 for 29 and another 6,000 for that one, then that's a much better use of resource, because it means everybody's going to get what they want. And my concern at the moment is I've got an autistic child who is so reliant on adult support that his needs are leaching the adult support away from the rest of her class. And for me, at that point, the other children, as much as the autistic child, need that support. I think sometimes we think that child needs support. Now, actually, the rest of the class probably needs support, and the teacher probably needs support, because the autistic lad's fine, because he's got teacher working with him all the time. So it's that bigger picture thing. But yeah, I've done it, and I'm planning to do it next term if I can get the right people, because it's children first. Every child in our class deserves the best teaching we can give them.
Okay, thank you. Is there anything else you feel is particularly vital in terms of support in order to meet the needs of these children?
I think it's knowing where they exist outside statutory assessment frameworks. In other words, my autistic children in year 3, last year they would have gone for a SAT. Now, I'm not sure that asking them to sit in a room for an hour 4 days in May will get the best out of them, but I've got a statutory duty to assess them. So I would need to know how I deal with that, because for me, I'm setting children up to fail, and I don't I don't like to do that, it seems pointless to me. However, that is not an excuse for them not to make progress. So it's what is a reasonable amount of progress to make? In my experience, autism is not a measure of IQ. In fact, the autistic children I speak to here, I think, are amongst the most intelligent, certainly the most lucid and fluent in terms of talk. You know, intelligence is not a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Communicating it or doing the social interaction perhaps is. So I'd want to know how best to provide them educationally. And then also think about what is reasonably sociably. Because, you know, I get bored sitting in an assembly that goes a lot longer for half an hour. Is that reasonable? And finally, what are the life skills they're going to need? When they finish school and they're on their own, what can I do to support that? Because for me, it's not about they go at 11, it's no, what's the bigger picture? That's why I'm telling children at the moment, SPAG is so important because you'll need it in your GCSEs. And I go, well, yeah, actually, what we're doing now will help you. And that's always been my view. Where next? Where next?
Do you have anything else you wish to expand on?
No, I've talked already far too much, but they're good. They're a good set of questions.
Thank you.
And I think you've picked up the system in which we're working at the moment.
That's good. And it's so far people I've spoken to have supported what I've written in my literature review at the moment, which is really good because I can get on with writing it.
Good. Good.